One of the greatest powers of Adobe InDesign is its ability to create templates and streamline production of documents that we'll be producing on a regular basis. This chapter of our Total Training InDesign CS6 Essentials course deals with how to streamline the production of documents that we'll be creating again and again. We'll be working with InDesign templates, paragraph and character styles, as well as how to create complementary color palettes that we can use for producing documents that we create on a recurring basis quickly and efficiently. In this chapter of our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to create a document template that we're going to use to build a Trifold brochure in the next chapter of our InDesign course. To do that, let's first go to the Welcome screen here and click on the Create New Document button. When I click on that, it should open the New Document dialog box just as you see right here. Now, if you've been following the lesson sequentially, you may see that the document preset is set for the TT card flyer that we built in Chapter 2. Let's switch that back to default. And if you're working with an American English version of what we're working with, what you'll see is that that'll set that as a letter size document. We're going to change the number of pages from 1 to 2, since we'll be printing on the front and the back of our Trifold brochure. And since we're not going to be binding these, they're actually going to be two sides of the same sheet of paper, we can turn off the Facing Pages option. Now, again, as we created the default setting, it set the page for a letter size sheet. We're going to put that landscape so it shows as a width of 11 inches and then a height of 8.5 inches for our standard letter size sheet. If you drop a ruler on your standard Trifold brochure, you'll often find that that's set a little bit smaller than your standard letter size sheet to account for extra room for bleeds or trimming away that impression that printing goes all the way to the very edge of the brochure. When standard size for working with brochures is a width of not 11 inches, but 10.5 inches, and a standard height for that is set for 8.25 inches. Notice the moment we change from that standard letter size page that the page size turns into custom. Basically what that means is it doesn't correspond to any of the presets that we have listed inside the page size options box. We'll go back to columns here in just a second. But before we do anything here, we're going to work with the margins that are immediately below. Now, we're going to set a default margin of 1/8 of an inch, or 0.125 inches. And you'll notice that the link button here is selected. So when I hit the Tab key, it's going to change the margins all the way around to 1/8 of an inch. We're going to make a different set of margins for the left and right side of our page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclick this link button, and I'm going to change the margins to the left and to the right to 1/4 inch. Let's go back to the columns section, and we're going to change the number of columns from 1 to 3 to account for our standard Trifold brochure. And we're going to change the gutter from the default of 0.1667, or 1/6 of an inch, or 1 pica, to be twice the size of whatever our left and right side margins are for our Trifold brochure. So that shows as 0.25 inches, or 1/4 inch. To double that for our gutter that we're going to set in between each of those 3 columns or panels that we're designing for our Trifold brochure, we're going to make that 1/2 of an inch, or 0.5 inches. Now, if you don't have the bleed and slug section showing below, all you have to do is click on the More Options button in our new document dialog box. That'll bring that back up. And we're going to set a bleed area of 0.125, or 1/8 of an inch, all the way around the trim size for our Trifold brochure template. Now again, you'll see that the link button is selected, so when I hit the tab key, it's going to change all of those bleed settings to 0.125 inches or 1/8 of an inch all the way around. As we're looking at this, we have the ability to work with the basics of our trifold brochure. Let's review that very quickly. What you want to have are 2 pages, no facing pages option, a custom page size of 10.5 inches wide by 8.25 inches high. We want 3 columns to be set with a gutter space of 1/2 inch or twice what the size of the corresponding margins are set below. In our case here, of 1/4 inch to the left and right of our page. We've set tighter margins of 1/8 of an inch high and low to account for a standard live area within our sheet, and we've set a standard bleed of 1/8 of an inch or 0.125 inches all the way around that page trim size. Now we're going to do some more work here for building our trifold brochure template, so it's not really necessary for us to save a document preset for this, but if we chose to do that, it's very easy. We just click on the Save Preset button, and what that would do is that would allow us to save that preset as, say, TT Trifold Brochure. If I say OK, just as we did with our card flyer in the earlier chapter, it would save a document preset that we could come back to time and time again when we're working with new documents. I'm just going to say OK, and when I do that, I'll have my trifold brochure set up. If I go to the Pages dialog box, I'll see that I have page 1 and I have page 2. Both of them have the A master applied to the document. And I've got the basic setting for my trifold brochure. Now, I don't want that brochure preset that we had before. We want to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the File pull-down menu. I'm going to go to Document Presets, and I'm not going to select the card flyer that we created or the trifold brochure that we created right now. I'm going to go to the Define menu command. I'm going to click on that trifold brochure since we have an incomplete template here and I don't really want to work with this. I'm simply going to delete that. It's going to ask me with a redundant command whether I want to delete that selected preset. That's absolutely what I want to do, so I'm going to say OK. And I'll see that that's now not available anymore in the document presets. When I click the OK button, we'll be ready to start building our trifold brochure template.